You were folding laundry when the draft notice hit your phone. No sirens, no dramatic headlines, just a cold government text that started with urgent and ended with report for assessment. Your wife asked what it meant. You told her it was probably a mistake. It wasn't. By the end of the week, you were at a processing center in a strip mall that used to sell yoga mats and knockoff sneakers. Now it's where young men and terrified fathers shuffle through biometric scans and outdated clipboards. The recruiter smiled too much. Said it was your time. Said the world needed you. Said this wasn't about politics, it was about protecting freedom. You wanted to ask whose, but you didn't. Because the room was full, because everyone else looked just as confused, because no one wanted to be the first to say, I don't want to do this. And that's how it starts. You're no warrior, you're not patriotic in the bumper sticker way. You were working a normal job, raising a toddler, fighting with your wife about groceries. You didn't even know where the war was, just that it was over there, somewhere dry, somewhere with oil, somewhere that's been in headlines your whole life. You never hated the people there. You never wanted to fight them. But now you're on a transport plane, helmet too tight, boots too big, sitting next to a college dropout who jokes too much because he's scared out of his mind. They gave you a rifle and a pamphlet and said, you'll pick it up fast. The truth is, no one picks this up fast. You're not fighting for a cause. You're fighting for contracts, for pipelines, for debts that aren't yours, and decisions made in glass towers by men whose children will never see a uniform. You don't say this out loud because they tell you this is bigger than you. Because they say it's us or them. Because they say it's already started. And maybe it has. A week before you got the text, some airfield nobody cared about went dark. Then something blew up. Then someone retaliated. Then the markets shook. Then they said it was inevitable. That a response was necessary? That it was time to secure peace. And suddenly, a global war was born out of headlines. Your name got pulled, and you didn't even vote for the people who signed the papers. Now you're learning to march, to shoot, to obey. Your drill sergeant yells about glory and duty, but his eyes are hollow. You see it in the way he pauses after talking about body counts. You hear it when he doesn't finish his sentence about the last time. You're not just training for war. You're preparing to disappear into one. And you're not alone. There are thousands of you. Boys, men, fathers, dropouts, college graduates, ex-baristas, mechanics, teachers, gamers. All shipped to a desert you've only seen in grainy night vision. All told that this is what it means to serve. All realizing the same thing, you didn't start this war. You don't understand it. And you're probably not coming home the same. You land in the middle of nothing. Sand, smoke, static. That's all you see from the window of the carrier as it touches down. The sun isn't yellow here. It's pale and cruel, like it's judging you for showing up. There's no ceremony, no music, just a corporal shouting names and orders like a fast food speaker stuck on loop. You step off with your rifle slung and your nerves clenched. You haven't fired it yet, not at a person. They send you to a base carved into a slab of earth, dugouts, wire, spotters posted on ledges that look like collapsed playgrounds. You sleep next to a generator that rattles like a dying heart. It smells like diesel, burnt plastic, and fear. Your platoon leader says you're here for peacekeeping, but you haven't seen peace, not once, not even in the civilians' eyes. Everyone looks tired, locals, soldiers, command. Even the translator looks like he's aged 10 years in the last 6 months. You do your drills, you eat what passes for food, you try to write letters back home but don't know what to say. I'm safe feels like a lie. I'm scared feels like betrayal. You keep it short. The only thing you do longer than wait is think. You think about your wife, the way her hair smelled when you left, the way your daughter reached for you at the airport, not understanding why you didn't reach back. You keep their photo inside your vest, pressed against your chest like armor. It's already frayed around the edges. You trace your finger over their faces like prayer. You think about the other side, about the kid your age holding a gun just like yours, crouching in a ditch just like yours, wondering if you want to be here. You don't. And maybe he doesn't either. But you both are, because somewhere, men with suits and schedules and stock options decided this region needed stabilizing. Because banks funded contracts. Because oil futures dipped. Because the news cycle needed a narrative. Because drones don't sell themselves. You try not to think about that. But it creeps in when you're on night watch and nothing moves but the wind. Then the first drone strike happens. Not yours, theirs. An AI-locked, satellite-guided, barely human-verified blast that turned the outpost across from yours into a crater before sunrise. You didn't even hear it coming. 1 minute there were men drinking powdered coffee. The next, they were gone. Your hands shook all day. The next morning, they gave you a tablet. You thought it'd be maps or intel. Nope, just facial ID targets. Scan, identify, confirm, tap, strike, no trial, no surrender. Just authorization, just checkboxes. You ask, what if we get it wrong? Your CO shrugs. We'll issue a correction. You stop sleeping after that. You start feeling less like a soldier, more like a technician. Less like a man, more like an accessory in someone else's machine. And that's when the first firefight happens. Your boots get stuck in the sand, your ears ring with each pop. You see a body drop. You don't know whose. You fire because everyone else is. Because your training kicks in. Because if you don't, someone next to you gets eliminated. And when it ends, there's no glory. Just silence. Just blood you can't wash off and a pit in your gut you can't name. You go back to your hole. Sit in the dirt, take out the photo, and try to remember what your daughter's voice sounded like. There's a saying that floats through camp like smoke. They start the war. We pay for it. You used to think it was just a bitter line from some grizzled old vet. But now you feel it. In your joints, in your chest. In the weight of the dog tags hanging a little heavier every day. Because no senator is bleeding in the trench beside you. No banker's taking shrapnel through the door of a Humvee. No CEO is scraping what's left of a friend's helmet out of the passenger seat. One night, you catch your reflection in your mess tray and stare at yourself like you're a stranger. Your eyes aren't angry. They're empty. And that's worse. You've stopped feeling because there's no space left inside you for fear, guilt, grief, and duty all at once. You had to choose, you chose silence. You follow orders now, even the ones that make your stomach twist. Like a strike on a village because someone might be hiding something. Or a drone pass based on AI tagging an object in someone's arms as high risk. You see a kid holding groceries. You ask if they're sure. Green light confirmed, they say. You hesitate, just for a second. Then someone reminds you, hesitation costs lives. But no one talks about whose. The people giving the commands are on screens, in suits. They say this is for stability, for the greater good. But their kids aren't out here. They won't be the ones who don't make it back. Their version of war lives in headlines and data sheets. Yours lives in the way you clench your jaw when the wind changes, in the phantom buzz of drones you can't hear, but know are circling, always watching. And it doesn't stop. A guy from your squad, good dude, always shared his rations, laughed too hard at bad jokes, got hit last week. Not gone, but different now. One leg's not coming home. And when they loaded him on the evac chopper, he was crying. Not from pain, from fear, because he doesn't know who he'll be when this is over. You don't either. Home feels like a memory taped to the inside of your helmet. A woman's voice, a baby's laugh. Your daughter had just started walking when you left. Now she might be running. You try to picture her face, but the photo's smudged. And somehow that hurts worse than anything else. They say you're fighting for freedom, but you've stopped asking whose. The news back home plays clips of troops smiling, holding flags, getting hugs. You don't recognize those faces. You haven't smiled in weeks. You haven't seen clean water, let alone a parade. Meanwhile, some private weapons firm just locked a deal to streamline autonomous targeting. You saw their logo on the drone that flew over your unit and left a hole where a safe house used to be. You're not sure if it worked or not. No one briefed you. They never do. There are fewer people at mess now. Some rotated out, some didn't make it, and some just stopped being themselves. You wonder which one you'll be. You wonder if the people back home, your neighbors, your bosses, your old classmates, would still thank you for your service if they saw what service really meant. If they knew that when someone doesn't make it, it's not cinematic. There's no slow motion, no noble pose, just panic, dirt, noise, and then nothing. You didn't come here to be a hero. You came because someone told you there was no choice. And now you're starting to see the truth. You're not here to fight for anyone. You're here to be used by everyone. You thought the worst part would be the firefights. It's not. It's the waiting. Waiting in trenches so dry they crack your lips. Waiting in transport trucks with no AC packed shoulder to shoulder with men trying not to puke from nerves. Waiting in briefing rooms while some lieutenant half your age talks about objectives like he's narrating a video game. And all the while, you feel it. That unspoken truth hanging in the stale air. You're not really a soldier. You're a piece of inventory, an asset, a unit, a number on someone's board. You hear the whispers in the dugouts. Guys wondering how many more missions till they're rotated, or reassigned, or don't come back. There's no anger in it, just math. Cold, exhausted math. Every night, someone different's missing at roll call. Maybe they got reassigned, maybe they made it out, or maybe they didn't. You don't ask, you just carry on, because if you let the losses land too hard, they take your balance with them. You remember when they brought in the new tech. Some hyper-advanced recon drone that could ID body heat from 5 clicks away? Game changer, they said. Fewer boots on the ground. But it didn't mean fewer people in danger. It meant you were the bait. The drone watches, and when something moves, it doesn't go first. You do. That's when it hits you. You're not just on the front line. You are the front line. You're the proof of concept for someone's war algorithm. You're the controlled variable in their strategic rollout. You're the cost-effective unit placed in the most dangerous spot so the high-value assets don't have to be. And when you're gone, another one takes your place. No ceremony, no names, just replacement. The new kid in your unit, just 19, couldn't grow a beard if his life depended on it, asks you, do you ever wonder what this is all for? You think about lying, saying something like freedom or duty, but your throat closes up. Because deep down, you know this war didn't start from a moral cause. It started from money, from fear, from politics spiraling out of control after one strike, then another, and another, until the headlines wrote checks your body had to cash. No one wants this war. Not the people on this side, not the people on the other. The locals you pass by, they look at you like they're trying to remember if they should fear you or pity you. Some of them wave. Some of them scowl. Most just don't look at all. Because they've seen soldiers come and go for decades, and they know what you don't. Soldiers don't change anything. They just carry the weight of change decided by others. You're not the hammer, you're the nail. You see it when one of your guys takes a direct hit from a mortar and doesn't make it. You're told to keep moving. No time to grieve, no pause in the mission, just pack his gear and redistribute his ammo. His name fades by next week, replaced by call signs. Numbers. That night, you find yourself staring at the photo of your wife and daughter again. You barely remember the day it was taken. You were at a park. She had ice cream on her chin. You kissed her forehead. Now, you wipe your face with the same hand that's held a trigger for 3 weeks straight. You whisper, I miss you, even though no one's listening. And you start to wonder, if you don't make it back, who will tell your story? Not the media. They've already moved on to the next offensive. Not the government. Your file will get filed. Maybe your daughter, years from now, will hold that photo and try to understand why daddy left. And maybe someone will tell her, he didn't want to go. He was just used. They say if you make it long enough, you stop noticing the noise. But the silence, that's what gets you. The moments in between, the hum of distant engines, the soft clink of loose gear, the wind curling over sandbags like a whisper. That's when the thoughts creep in, the memories, the wondering. You sit in your trench, back against the wall, boots buried in grit, photo pressed between your palms. It's faded now, creased at the corners, smudged by fingers that haven't held a pencil in months. Your daughter's smile is still there. Your wife's eyes locked in that second before you boarded the plane. You try to remember what peace felt like. A quiet morning, a full breath, the soft weight of a blanket instead of a vest. You used to think stress was traffic or taxes. Now you understand it's hearing your own name on the comms and feeling your heart freeze. You're not angry, not anymore. You've seen enough to know the truth. No one here wanted this. Not the boy across the line who looked just as scared as you when the fight broke out. Not the farmer who begged you to let his son through the checkpoint. Not the translator who went silent when he heard his cousin didn't make it. Even your commanding officer, once a walking fist of patriotic fire, now stares at the ground more than the sky. No one is winning. Not really. And yet it goes on. Because the machine doesn't care about grief. It doesn't pause for logic. It just eats. It eats land, time, people, and leaves contracts and medals in its wake. The media will say you're bringing order, but order doesn't look like this. Order isn't burning villages and burial cloths. It isn't AI choosing targets faster than humans can say, wait. It isn't drone footage replacing funerals. You start to see how it happens. The spark, the strike, the retaliation, the alliances, the pressure, the spiral. All it took was one day in June, one flashpoint, one headline that led to thousands of mothers crying into their kitchen tables. And now, your name is buried in a rotation schedule. You don't know what you'll do if you make it back. How do you return to grocery lists and traffic lights when your mind still circles rooftops for snipers? How do you hold your child without thinking about who didn't get to hold theirs? You wonder if there will be a parade. Maybe, maybe not. But if there is, you already know what you'll be thinking as the brass band plays. You didn't choose to be brave. You were just too scared to be anything else. You were drafted, trained, flown, and deployed because someone somewhere needed more bodies in a war that sold well on television. They'll call you a hero, but they won't call it what it really was. It was fear, confusion, orders, dust, smoke, guilt, regret. It was you sitting in a hole 6,000 miles from home, whispering the names of the people who made you feel human, and hoping you'll get to see them again. Because in the end, you weren't a warrior. You were a worker. You were cannon fodder dressed in government fabric, carrying someone else's burden through someone else's desert. And that's why it sucks to be a conscripted soldier. Because even if you survive, the part of you that walked into this, that part doesn't come back.